What up, y'all? It's your man, Abuamerican, man. I got a lot to say, and I just, you know what? I've made 3 cuts already, and I'm gonna try this again. Look, be you Muslim or non-Muslim, stop being a nice guy. Now, I'm not saying you gotta beat your woman down, you gotta smack her, whatever else. You ain't gotta do all that stuff, but stop being the nice guy. There's no obligation on you religiously as a Muslim guy to accept a damaged woman's disrespect or her problems. You're not her therapist. You're not her whipping boy for whatever problem she had with her dad, her uncle, her brother, her ex, her baby daddy. You don't have to deal with all that stuff. You show me some religious text Islamically that shows that you have to deal with that. You don't have to. Non-Muslim guys, listen to me. There are no rules anywhere on Western society books in whatever country you go to that says you got to deal with a borderline personality disorder, damaged woman's problems and issues. Actually, it's better for you not to from a Western legal perspective, because who knows what's going to happen. She might be able to blame you for all her messed up stuff and take you to court and sue you for it. You're looking to be a hashtag Me Too about 5 years down the road. There's no rules of the game anywhere that say you have to deal with this. Here's the problem I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with one-to-ones with really nice guys. Love these guys to death. These are personal one-to-ones. Guys I know personally. And they're nice guys. And on its own, that's not a problem. But it's a problem when you're dealing with damaged women. Damaged women can't appreciate a nice guy. There's no problem being a nice guy. Don't take that blame on yourself if you're a nice guy. You know what I'm saying? But being a nice guy doesn't mean being beta, doesn't mean being blue pill, these placeholder terms. You know what I'm saying? Don't take that stuff on yourself. You know why? Because here's the issue. When you start dealing with that stuff over time, her damage becomes your damage. I remember, let me tell you a story. I went to the Middle East. I stayed in the Middle East for almost a decade. The first day I went to the Middle East, they had the AC blasting when we landed. You know, so I didn't feel any difference between Germany and the Middle East. It was UAE. I went to UAE. I landed I landed in Dubai airport. So when you go outside of the airport, they got these fans that are at the door, and they hyper climatize you to the air conditioned air. So when you come in and you go out, it's like this real hard breeze, of AC air. And when I went outside, it's like this hot desert wind hit me. And I thought it was like a continuation of the fan. I was like, and I was talking to this dude, lovely dude. I was like, man, why they got the fan, going from cold to hot like that? And he's like, dude, that's not the fan, that's the weather. Man, I had to go back inside, take off my underwear, all this stuff, because it was like instantaneous sweat. But after a month, I was completely climatized. I went outside, I didn't notice it was hot. So it's the same thing with relationships. When you're dealing with these damaged women and you stay with these damaged women as a nice guy or as any guy, you become acclimatized to their bad behaviors. So if the relationship ends and you start a new relationship, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be messed up because you're climatized to bad behavior. Just like you become climatized to weather. When I left the UAE, when I left Qatar actually, and I came back to Germany, 10 degrees Celsius felt like -10. I was climatized to 48 degrees Celsius summers. It took me months to get used to the cold again. Now I'm kind of used to the cold and it's not a problem. But it's the same thing with relationships. You leave one climate and you go into another one and you're carrying over your climatization from one relationship to another one, because that's psychological climatization. You have become acclimatized to bad behavior from a woman. And dudes think I'm too hard. No, stop being a nice guy. That's why when I deal with my girls, it's like, I even smell some BS off of you and I'm ready to pull the trigger. You got to go. I am freaking almost post-traumatic stress disorder on drama from women. I ain't taking that stuff because it's not normal for me to accept bad behaviors. I didn't grow up in a household with dysfunctional parents. My parents, they had their problems because they were people. I had different problems. But them being dysfunctional towards one another in a relationship is not something that I have a reproductive model to follow. My parents had a very healthy relationship between one another. Despite the fact that they're divorced, they even divorced in peace. Just good, nice people. They just went their separate ways. There was no arguments. There was no divorce court. There was no ugly words, nothing. I have not dealt with even a breakup as a model, which is just bad. So when I went to London, I told you guys my London story. I started dealing with this borderline depression, borderline personality disorder girl, that was, for me, that was crazy. I ain't never dealt with nobody like that in my life. Well, actually I did, but it never worked out well. You know, this is a different story. I'll tell you guys about that some other time. But it's never worked out with me messing with these crazy women because I have no frame of reference in my past as a child, in my growing up relationships that I had with my ex-German for like 20 something years, with that level of dysfunctional behavior. You only gain that when you accept the status quo of bad behavior from these women that you stay with. And here's the thing. Some of these brothers that I'm dealing with, they got women. They got children that they're bringing up in this environment. You got to look out for them too. You can't have an environment where you got a son who thinks it's okay for his wife to talk to him in some crazy type of way. That's not acceptable. You can't be in an environment where your daughter's looking at you taking disrespect from a woman and she grows up thinking that's normal behavior to go into a relationship with. You're setting your kids up for failure. You can't do that, man. You guys got to stop being this nice guy. You got to set boundaries and set limits and be like, look, man, you can't be talking all crazy and wild like this. You're going to talk like that, you got to go. It's just there ain't no in between. And you got to mean it. And I'm saying this knowing that some of you guys are watching this video. Look, man, there ain't no girl that pretty to where you need to deal with disrespect from her constantly and consistently. There ain't no amount of like past lovey-dovey good feeling situations to where you got to deal with like a damaged woman just like bringing dysfunction and madness into your life, chaos into your life. You can't have that. You cannot have that. If you don't control the frame of your relationship, female energy is chaotic. That's not a problem on its own. They're just crazy like that. That's acceptable. They got chaotic energy. But there's a balance. It's like a symbiosis between men and women. And we bring that structure and order with our order and our structure as men. Our lack of emotional chaos. You can't allow that stuff to continue in your life, man. Guys, listen to me. Stop being the nice guy. Stop being the nice guy. It doesn't serve you. It's going to mess up your life. It's going to mess up your life. It's going to mess up the life of anybody who comes along, like your children in specific. And they have to deal with that later on in life. Because you allowed that to become their model for relationships in the future. You can't have that stuff. You can't have mothers that are hoes. You can't have mothers that are BDP. You can't have mothers that are crazy because she's going to spend the predominant amount of time around those children raising them. And whatever her ethics, morals, virtues, and values are, that's going to get inculcated to them as a child. They're going to grow up with it. And then you're going to just add another piece of crap human being into the pool of already crap people out there. And this time, it's going to be your fault. You got to let these women go, man. I don't care how pretty she is. And you know who I'm talking to when I'm talking to you, homie. You can't accept that disrespect. My other homie, listen, man. That stuff is crazy. You got to cut that loose. And to anybody else watching, don't accept madness. You know, when Patrice O'Neal said it, when you feel that in your gut as a man, something ain't right. You know what? Something ain't right. Sometimes I just react off stuff with my girls just because I'm like, I don't know what the heck's going on here, but that just don't feel right. I just give pushback just because it doesn't feel right. And it's not served me incorrectly up to this point. This is your man, Abuamerican. Listen to what I'm telling you. Catch me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all at Abuamerican. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'm out.
Who wants to fight? Aha. I'm only taking the brave. I'm not taking the scary. I'm not taking no girls. Are you ready to fight?